How are you?
Good morning and welcome to the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority. Today's is January 14th meeting of the Board of Trustees. I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. Before we get started, well, I don't think he's here yet, but let me just make a mention that the Freeholder Director, Brian Levine from Somerset County, will be joining us. And on behalf of the rest of the board and staff, we'd like to thank you for joining us today. He'll be here. He's not here yet, but he will be here. So once he gets in, I don't want to have to go over that again, but it is a pleasure to have him sitting in. Somebody else is covering today for him. At this time, he'll be here. As a reminder to all members, the microphones around the table are very sensitive. As you know, we may have made, they have made changes on the microphone system, and they are really, really very sensitive. And of course, this meeting is being taped and webcast. And I also like to note that is anybody joining us via phone? I think no, the regular players are here. Okay, we do have a new Brian Nichols, who is now the representative for Hudson County. As you know, Megan had retired or went someplace else. We'd like to take this opportunity to welcome him. And around the table, I also see Barbara. I don't know if you sat around the table before, but welcome. I know you were in the audience a few times around.
Yeah, I was over there.
But we welcome you.
Thank you.
I'm sure I'm going to miss some new faces, so we'll get to them in a few minutes. Let's see. One of the most important things today is, of course, to start the meeting, we'll ask Barbara Morris to read the Open Public Meetings Act.
This is to advise that in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been forwarded to the Newark Star Ledger, the Asbury Park Press, the Courier News, the Daily Record, the Home News Tribune, the Jersey Journal, and the New Jersey Herald. It was posted in the Essex County Hall of Records in Newark and on the bulletin board of the Lieutenant Governor in Trenton.
Thank you very much. Would everyone please stand for honoring our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Beverly, could you please do a roll call?
Okay. Bergen, Essex, Hudson,
Present.
Hunterdon,
Here.
Jersey City,
Present.
Middlesex,
Here.
Monmouth,
Present.
Morris,
Present.
Newark,
Here.
Ocean,
Present, not voting.
Passaic,
Here.
Somerset,
Present.
Sussex,
Present.
Union,
Present.
Warren,
Here.
Governor's Office,
Here.
NJDOT,
Here.
NJ Transit,
Here.
Port Authority,
Here.
Citizens Representative.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we have 17 voting members present and a quorum.
Thank you, Beverly, very, very much. The next item is the approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the minutes of the November 19th board meeting? Well, see none. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you very much.
Somerset,
Is there anyone who wants to second it? Can all jump in at the same time, please?
Second.
Thank you very much. So we have moved and second. Anybody all in favors? Anybody oppose? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain, I wasn't here.
Bill DeKenney abstention, and also Will Barber from Hunter.
And myself.
And Hudson County will abstain.
Everybody, do you have all the abstentions?
I have three. I have Hudson, Hunterdon, and Middlesex,
Morris.
and
Morris.
Morris. Okay, let's see what we have here. Minutes are approved.
Thank you very much. And now is the chairman's report. Hopefully we can make this a little short. Once again, we thank you for coming today's meeting. I certainly wish you all a happy and healthy 2019. January is always a good time to look back at the previous year and to plan for the years to come. Regarding 2018, perhaps most importantly for the NJTPA was our certification review year. That meant 3 days of discussions with staff from the Federal Highway and Transit Administration about how we are conducting the metropolitan planning process here at the NJTPA region. Based on the preliminary feedback that we have received, the NJTPA is doing an excellent job with the planning process and does not face any major issues regarding our continuous certification as the region's metropolitan planning organization. Now, we owe that a lot to that for our employees and our management. In fact, we received very positive feedback on our work on several areas: performance-based planning, public engagement, freight planning coordination with our neighbors, our neighboring MPOs, and more. We look forward to receiving the final certification report, and of course, we'll work quickly and efficiently to address any concerns that may be raised. The certification review process was certainly very valuable, and we again thank our federal partners for their guidance and support. During certifications, we highlighted much of the good work that we have done at NJTPA in recent years. And I'm happy to say that 2018 has proved to be a great year. Here's a quick example. As I mentioned, our federal partners noted our good working relationship with our neighbors, MPOs, and a major strength of our NJTPA family. We saw that just last month when we hosted the annual meeting of the Metropolitan Planning Forum, or MAP Forum. The meeting included representatives from the MPOs in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. We share information on sustainable communities planning, as well as important issues that cross MPOs and state boundaries. It was my pleasure to kick off the meeting and participate. I want to thank everyone from all the MPOs that attended. Another good example of our diverse partnership coming together was an innovative summit on emerging technologies held this summer at the NJIT. We were happy to work with the New Jersey Innovation Institute and WTS to make this event happen, and to welcome the commissioners of the NJDOT as our featured speakers. And of course, we also look for our partners on efforts focused on improving our environment. In August, we hosted a 2-day Northern Air Quality and Transportation Summit on behalf of the U.S. DOT and U.S. EPA. Transportation planners and others from throughout the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic attended. And speaking of transportation air quality, the NJTPA continued to make important progress on its effort to promote alternate fuel vehicles, or AFVs. As the owner of an electric vehicle, I applaud this work. We need more charging stations, for sure. NJTPA spread the word of AFV readiness with a guidebook completed just before 2018 began. Hats off to the Somerset County for its commitment to electrifying its fleet and their use of NJTPA materials for guidance. Past year also saw central staff and a consultant team concluded work on the Morris Canal Greenway Corridor study. This was a first ever look of how to implement a walking and biking route along the former canal route from Phillipsburg to Jersey City. And the Greenway certainly is gaining momentum. Late last year, the State Regional Transportation Alternative Program project approved $11.1 million for 4 Morris Canals Greenway projects in Jersey City, Passaic County, Sussex County, and Warren County. This is a great news. And NJTPA looks forward to seeing more projects in the Greenway get funded and implemented. We also work to make the walking safer on the streets of communities across the NJTPA region and other parts of the state through our ongoing Street Smart Pedestrian Safety Campaign. Safety, after all, it is a top priority in transportation. Finally, I also like to remind everyone, 2018, the boards approved a new public engagement plan that looks to improve how we involve the public in our process. The plan includes a particular emphasis on reaching traditional underserved populations, including our region's low-income residents. Sorry about that. Sorry. And finally, I also like to remind everyone that 2018 boards approved a new public engagement that looks at improving how we involve the public in our process. The plan includes a particular emphasis on reaching traditional and underserved populations, including the region's low-income residents and those with limited English proficiency. It may sound like one of those with a low English proficiency. The plan will inform the NJTPA public outreach and involvement efforts for the 2019 and beyond. All of these accomplishments taken together make it clear that the NJTPA is working hard to improve the 3 key quality of life factors I decided to focus when I became chair last year: the environment, the economy, and equity. And I'm sure that that together we can accomplish even more in the year to come. Look forward to working with everyone in the year 2019. And for that, I thank you very, very much. Now, the long-awaited, the Somerset County Freeholder Director, Brian Levine. Welcome. Welcome very much.
Thanks a lot.
I have made the announcement you were coming numerous times, and here you are in the flesh. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Now I would like to ask the opportunity if there's any comments from NJDOT. Any comments at all? No. But I know that Jeremy will have definitely some comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Appreciate it. Just a couple of notes. As you know, Governor Murphy signed the NJT reform legislation into law last month, which does specify some particular roles for the NJTPA in terms of our board of directors and our Northern Passenger Advisory. So we look forward to working with the team on those activities. And more sort of to the point of today's activities, I'd just like to recognize this is Lou Venich's last meeting with us, as he's retiring at the end of the month. And personally, I've had a long history of working with Lou, and really we'll miss him, and have really enjoyed our work together over the years.
I promise Lou that he'll have some equal time to respond to all the comments that have been made in the event that somebody gets a little bit out of line in that respect.
Try to keep myself under control.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. And of course, we have our retiring Lou Venich here, Lou Venich. That if you have any comments, this is a good opportunity, or you want to hold. We can give it another time. This is the official part.
Just for the official part, I would just say that since the most recent NJTPA board meeting, our Board of Commissioners has approved on our calendar fiscal year a new budget that maintains the momentum of capital investment at our different facilities, maintains our commitment to advance the Hudson Tunnel and Gateway initiative with our partners, and we continue to press ahead on all fronts. There's a lot to do.
thank you very much for many great years of service, and I'm sure there'll be more comments coming. But go ahead, our Executive Director.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Happy New Year to everyone. As Chairman Estrada noted, we accomplished quite a bit in 2018. And we begin the new year with much work underway or about to begin, including the development of the Transportation Improvement Program, or the TIP, various regional studies, program solicitations, and more. Before I get to that, I do want to point out some welcome changes here in our conference room. Since the last board meeting, we've upgraded our audiovisual equipment to include new microphones, sound system, and projector. Since we serve as a forum for policy and technical discussions and a host for ongoing outreach activities, we need to maintain and improve this room so that it continues to meet the needs of our many visitors and meeting participants. Turning to the work at hand. As you know, each winter we develop a new work program for the coming fiscal year, which begins on July 1. The fiscal year 2020 Unified Planning Work Program will guide the work of central staff, the subregions, and the TMAs. We presented the draft work program at the last round of committee meetings and posted it online in December. As the chairman mentioned, one important element of the fiscal 2020 program will be early work on the update of our regional transportation plan, which must be completed in the fall of calendar year 2021. This early work will include public engagement activities and financial analyses. The next plan will also be our first to fully incorporate federally required performance measures and targets. Further work on refining our performance measures and other aspects of this required process will also be key elements of this year's annual work program. I urge you to review these and other tasks in the draft UPWP, which we will be bringing to the Planning and Economic Development Committee next month for endorsement, prior to the board considering it for adoption in March. Regarding our overall work program, I would like to note that the federally mandated single audit of our fiscal 18 work program was completed this past quarter, and today we are distributing the independent auditor's report to the board. We are very pleased to note that there were no findings or questioned costs, which means we are fulfilling all requirements and accountability standards in our use of federal funding. And for that, we thank the entire NJTPA staff as well as our partner agencies and subregions. A very important milestone for us. Now, a few quick words on central staff activities since our last board meeting. Following a flurry of street smart pedestrian safety campaigns last fall, staff has been working with the TMAs to prepare new campaigns for spring. In December, staff also met with representatives of the State Division of Highway Traffic Safety to better integrate Street Smart into that agency's pedestrian safety grants to local police departments. We will also be looking at ways to integrate FHWA's Safe Transportation for Every Pedestrian, or STEP, initiative into our work on Street Smart and other programs. I should also note that we are already implementing many of the solutions encouraged by STEP through our local safety program, and we will continue to grow that effort along with supporting other Everyday Counts initiatives. This fall, we held kickoff meetings in 2 municipalities participating in our Planning for Emerging Centers program. Raritan Borough in Somerset County is developing a sustainable economic development plan, and Keyport is implementing complete streets measures. The program is also supporting a complete streets project in Hoboken. In related work, the NJTPA continues working with Sustainable Jersey and Rutgers on complete streets technical assistance in 9 towns. Also, walkable community workshops were held this past fall in Bernardsville in Somerset County and Glen Rock in Bergen County. Regarding Together North Jersey, we continue to work with Rutgers on a wide range of Training Institute activities, which you'll hear more about in the Planning and Economic Development Committee report. The full Together North Jersey Forum will convene in this room on January 31st with a plenary session featuring state agency speakers in the morning and task force meetings in the afternoon. Then, on February 6th, we'll host a Training Institute workshop on green stormwater infrastructure. Together North Jersey also continues to provide valuable technical assistance and support to counties and municipalities. This includes pilot projects to promote the development of transit hubs in Bloomfield, Passaic, and Dunellen using volunteers from the state chapter of the American Planning Association. There are many other ongoing central staff activities, and I will refer you to the central staff highlights in your board books for additional information. In particular, please note our work to prepare our updated tip with the help of the subregions, as Chairman Estrada had mentioned. Also, a solicitation of proposals is underway for the local concept development program. The deadline for this is February 12th. I would also note that NJTPA staff members will be participating in and making presentations later this month at the annual conference of the New Jersey chapter of the American Planning Association. Speaking of conferences, it is not too late to remind everyone that the 2019 State Transaction Conference will be held April 16th through 18th. Please note that these dates have changed since the early distribution of information by the conference committee. So the new dates are April 16th through 18th. As always, the NJTPA will be organizing several panels and will be active participants in this important annual event. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And now I call for Freeholder Kathy DeFilippo, Chair of the Project and Prioritization Committee, to give the committee report, please. Kathy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to report on the activities of the Project Prioritization Committee. At the December joint meeting, the committee considered 7 action items. 3 of these items involve amendments to the current Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, and are on today's agenda. The first amendment, which was requested by NJDOT, would program $5.5 million in federal funds to the Route 4 Hackensack River Bridge project in Bergen County for preliminary engineering in the current fiscal year. NJDOT will fund the design phase of work in fiscal year 2021. The committee recommended approval of this amendment, which is action item number 1 on today's agenda. Next, the committee considered approval of a minor TIP amendment to add the Kearney Riverbank Park Bike Trail project in Hudson County. The town of Kearney requested that this construction-ready project be amended into the current TIP with $1.8 million in state funding available through a funding agreement between the NJTPA and NJDOT. The committee recommended approval of this amendment, which is action item number 2. The next item concerning a set of amendments that will replace state funding with federal funding on 3 locally sponsored projects. They are, the first is a series of related improvements on County Road Route 537, State Route 33, Business, and Gravel Hill Road in Monmouth County. The second is the Opanaki Road Bridge in Morris County. And the third one is the 5th Avenue Bridge, also known as the Fairlawn Avenue Bridge, over the Passaic River in Bergen and Passaic counties. A total of $29.2 million in federal funds will be used for these projects in federal fiscal year 2019 through 2021. The committee recommended approval of these TIP changes, which are action item number 3. The committee also approved 3 modifications to the current TIP. The first adds $12.5 million in federal funding to the statewide pavement preservation program to advance several projects to construction in the current federal fiscal year. This modification also includes an additional $15 million for the Route 24 Route 287 to Route 78 pavement preservation project in various counties. These funds are available through the NJDOT Fiscal Constraint Bank. The second modification involves the Halls Mills Road project in Monmouth County. Here, the NJTPA is requesting that $13 million in federal DEMO funding be reprogrammed to the project in fiscal year 2019 due to an increase in the estimated cost of construction. The third modification updates program funding for two projects whose cost estimates have increased. First, the construction estimate for the Route 3, Route 46 Valley Road and Notch Rifle Camp Road interchange project in Passaic County has increased by $8.7 million. National Highway Performance Program funds are available for this need. In addition, the current construction estimate for the Route 287 northbound, Route 202-206 to South Street project in Somerset and Morris counties has increased by $7.8 million. Federal funds are available from the NJDOT Fiscal Constraint Bank to fully fund the project in the current federal fiscal year. The committee approved these modifications and no further action is required. On a related note, the committee also approved the federally required annual update of the financial plan for the Route 3, Route 46, Valley Road, and Notch Rifle Camp Road interchange project. The board approved the project's initial financial plan in 2012, and the committee has approved annual updates each year since. This latest update reflects a total project cost of $260 million, a $6 million increase, mainly due to construction change orders and a design change to include a full bridge replacement for the Route 46 bridge over Lower Notch Road. The committee approved the financial plan update and no further action is required. For someone like myself that doesn't always get over by that area, by Lower Notch Road and Rifle Camp Road, it is amazing the amount of work that has been accomplished. And we're still not done, but we're
Not yours.
At the December committee meeting, NJTPA staff also discussed two important changes in the solicitation for the Local Concept Development Program, which was issued in December and has a February 12th deadline. First, movable bridges over navigable waterways are temporarily suspended from acceptance into the program. This is because 4 such projects already in the program are experiencing very lengthy review and approval processes by the United States Coast Guard and the Army Corps of Engineers. These agencies are relatively new partners on the Interagency Review Committee, and procedures for this type of project must be finalized before more can be considered for funding. NJTPA Central staff will reevaluate the situation for the next solicitation, which is scheduled to be issued in approximately 2 years. In addition, staff reported that federal rules governing the use of Surface Transportation Program block grant funds allocated to MPOs require that all projects using these funds be located entirely in urbanized areas. As the LCD program uses these funds, the NJTPA has provided the subregions with an interactive map developed by NJDOT that will allow them to determine if potential projects are in eligible locations. Finally, I should note that the Project Prioritization Committee stands ready to work with the NJTPA staff, our agency partners, and subregions to ensure a timely and effective development process for the next TIP, which will go into effect this coming fall. That concludes my Project Prioritization Committee report, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Freeholder DeFilippo. Now, there is 3 different votes that we have to take on this matter. And number one is the Transportation Improvement Program to add the Route 4 Hackensack River Bridge project as requested by New Jersey Department of Transportation. May I have a motion on this one?
Motion.
Thank you very much, Freeholder.
Second, Passaic.
Second, Passaic. So we have moved, and Passaic second, Kenny from Middlesex moves.
Okay. Hudson?
Oops. Let me ask if there's any questions first.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Any questions from any of the members? Any questions from the members of the public on this particular item? Okay, seeing none, let's go right ahead, Beverly.
Hudson?
Aye.
Hunterdon?
Yes.
Jersey City?
Yes.
Middlesex?
Yes.
Monmouth?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Newark?
Yes.
Passaic?
Yes.
Somerset?
Yes.
Sussex?
Yes.
Union?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Governor's Office?
Yes.
NJDOT?
Yes.
NJ Transit?
Yes.
Port Authority?
Yes.
Citizens Representative?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you very much, Beverly. Item number 2 is a minor amendment to the fiscal year 2018-2021 Transportation Improvement Program to add the Kearney Riverbank Park Bridge Trail Project as requested by the town of Kearney. And may I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion.
Thank you, Freeholder Kenny, and may I have a second, please?
Second?
Thank you very much, Barbara. Let me ask, you have that information? You have the persons who moved and second. Thank you. Is there any comments from the members of the boards or any questions? Okay, thank you. Any comments from any member of the public at this time? Seeing no one, I would like to go for roll call.
Hudson?
Aye.
Hunterdon?
Yes.
Jersey City?
Yes.
Middlesex?
Yes.
Monmouth?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Newark?
Yes.
Passaic?
Yes.
Somerset?
Yes.
Sussex?
Yes.
Union?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Governor's Office?
Yes.
NJDOT?
Yes.
NJ Transit?
Yes.
Port Authority?
Yes.
Citizens Representative?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you very much. The third item is the minor amendment to the fiscal year 2018 to 2021 Transportation Improvement Program to add federal funds to the 3 locally sponsored projects as requested by the NJTPA on behalf of Monmouth, Morris, and Passaic counties. May I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Monmouth.
Terry moved it and seconded by Freeholder Bartlett. Are there any comments from the members of the board? Any comments from the members of the public on this particular item? Okay, seeing none, then we move forward for roll call. Beverly?
Hudson?
Yes.
Hunterdon?
Yes.
Jersey City?
Yes.
Middlesex?
Yes.
Monmouth?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Newark?
Yes.
Passaic?
Yes.
Somerset?
Yes.
Sussex?
Yes.
Union?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Governor's Office?
Yes.
NJDOT?
Yes.
NJ Transit?
Yes.
Port Authority?
Yes.
Citizens Representative?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you very much. And now I will call on Freeholder John Bartlett, Chair of the Planning and Executive Committee, to give the committee report. Also, he's now the Chair of Passaic County, and we congratulate you for that. That's a side note. Thank you very much.
Chairman. Thank you. I'm pleased to report on the activities of the Planning and Economic Development Committee. At the December joint committee meeting, central staff updated the committee on the development of the fiscal year 2020 Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP, which sets out the transportation planning activities for central staff, the subregions, and the Transportation Management Associations for the fiscal year beginning July 1st. As you heard earlier from Mary, the draft work program and budget are available for review at the NJTPA website. Central staff provided overviews of the program at RTAC and joint committee meetings in the fall. I'm pleased to note that the proposed work program includes 3 new sub-regional studies this year. Somerset County will identify 5 roadway corridors for safety audits. Monmouth County will examine travel demand management strategies to address traffic related to tourism and major events. And Hudson County will examine opportunities to expand or create new ferry services. In addition, 2 studies from the previous program cycle will continue in 2020. The City of Jersey City Parking Management Plan and the Patterson-Newark Transit Market Study, which is jointly sponsored by Essex County and my home county of Passaic, where we certainly recognize the importance of this effort. Also at the December joint meeting, Central staff updated the committee on the activities of Together North Jersey, which continues to advance strategies and actions from the 2015 Regional Sustainability Plan. This includes providing technical assistance and conducting training activities throughout the Together North Jersey Training Institute, with the assistance of the Voorhees Transportation Center at Rutgers. On December 5th, the Training Institute held a crime prevention through environmental design workshop here at NJTPA. More than 100 people participated, and last week the Institute held a workshop on creating a great shuttle service. The NJTPA and the Voorhees Transportation Center are also providing technical assistance to support progress on previously funded grant projects. For instance, Rutgers graduate students are designing temporary lighting installation under the Brick Church station to improve safety, a proposal from earlier TNJ work conducted by the Urban Essex Corridor Coalition. Of course, NJ Transit has also played an active role in this work. Together North Jersey is also helping the nonprofit New Brunswick Tomorrow to continue and even expand the city's successful Ciclovia event in October, where certain streets are temporarily closed to traffic and dedicated to walking and cycling. Finally, please note that on January 31st, the full Together North Jersey Forum will convene here at NJTPA with participation by all affiliated groups. The morning session will feature speakers from the State Economic Development Authority, the Office of Labor and Workforce Development, the Board of Public Utilities, the Department of Environmental Protection, and the Governor's Office. In the afternoon, the competitive, efficient, livable, and resilient task forces will meet to chart future activities. Everyone is encouraged to attend. And with no action items out of my committee, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Freeholder. And now I call on the Freeholder Charles Kenny, Chair of the Freight Initiative Committee, to give a committee report.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm pleased to report on the activities of the Freight Initiatives Committee. I'd like to thank Freeholder DiFilippo for chairing our December meeting. At the meeting, the committee unanimously voted to approve the project intake process for identifying and selecting freight-related projects to advance in the NJTPA's new Freight Concept Development Program. This action creates a new path for implementation of many potential freight-related projects, particularly those identified in the studies conducted by the NJTPA and its subregions. Given the importance of goods movement to our regional economy, this is a significant step for the NJTPA. Also at the December meeting, we heard a panel of leading regional experts discuss New Jersey's red-hot industrial real estate market. The panel began with brief presentations by the industry experts, followed by a moderated discussion. First, we heard from Bill Waxman, Executive Vice President of CBRE. He noted that 3 key factors are driving the rapid growth of this market in our region: increased e-commerce, a strong retail sector, and expanded port activities. Expansion is particularly strong in the food and beverage and third-party logistics sectors, and the light manufacturing and distribution are making a comeback. Mr. Waxman said New Jersey's location makes it a perfect place for a major role in e-commerce, and asking prices for space are being met and exceeded. He noted that state initiatives have helped attract large employers to the region. Overall, he said that right now New Jersey is the darling of the industrial real estate industry. Next, we heard from Matt Dolly, New Jersey Director of Research at Transwestern, will reinforce many of these ideas with statistics. He said that the New Jersey industrial sector is setting new records. Currently, 7.1 million square feet of industrial real estate is under construction, and developers are expanding beyond the industrial core areas. Over the past 12 months, there's been an absorption rate of 17.1 million square feet of space. Vacancy has tightened to an all-time low of 3.8%, and rents have increased for 13 consecutive quarters. Mr. Dali noted that while there is increasing optimism about business conditions in New Jersey and the market outlook is good, the sector has concerns about labor shortages in manufacturing, trucking, and construction, availability of space, and transportation logistics. Mr. Dali said that the industrial real estate is still an attractive investment, and while it's possible lease and rental rates may slow down due to the lack of available space, he expects rents will continue to increase. All right. The third guest was Matt. I don't want to tear this guy's name up, but Schlindenwine, if I have it, president of development and construction at Greek Development, which currently completed a new building for a cardboard manufacturer in Middlesex County on a former brownfield site, and is one of the developers at Union County's Tremblay Point. He provided some real-world examples of individual development projects built to meet the customer's needs in our region, which include on-site access to national standard freight rail and proximity to major roadway corridors and the port. He noted that the high demand for the industrial space is causing low vacancy rates and driving new construction. He said that the agreements with the municipalities for pilot programs, payments in lieu of taxes, are an important factor in securing long-term leases, as these arrangements provide a known cost for over 10 to 20-year life of a lease. In addition, he noted that the strong demand for space and increasing lease rates in the region have made brownfield sites much more attractive for the industrial redevelopment. Finally, as part of the committee member updates, we heard that the applications are being evaluated for the NJDOT Rail Freight Assistance Program grant, and that the Port Authority continues to work with Conrail and other railroads to increase lift capacity on the dock express rail system. And this concludes the Freight Initiatives Committee report.
Thank you very much, Freeholder. Freeholder Matt Holt is not here today, so we give his federal policy report. So I would like to mention that NJTPA staff is monitoring the ongoing effects of the partial federal shutdown for any potential impacts on our work. At this time and point, the FHWA is still working as they're funded through the Federal Highway Trust Fund rather than appropriations. But however, it is our understanding that Federal Transit Administration offices are currently closed, as well as others who in the New Jersey Transportation Planning Authority works with on various processes, including the administration offices of the U.S. Coast Guards. We will continue to keep an eye on the unfortunate situation. Now I'd like to introduce our very special guest speaker today. As I mentioned earlier, this is the first in a series of speakers who will focus on key planning for 2050 issues. Today it's our pleasure to welcome Robert Clark. He's with the FHWA's New Jersey Division Administrator. He'll be discussing transportation performance management in terms of the investment and outcomes. In his role as Division Administrator, Robert Clark serves as the FHWA Principal Representative in our state. He's also responsible for administering the Federal Aid Highway Program. Prior to becoming New Jersey Division Administrator, Robert managed the FHWA Financial Services team, responsible for providing technical assistance and financial training to FHWA division offices and state departments of transportation. Robert has been with FHWA for 18 years. Prior to that, he worked for the North Carolina Department of Transportation in a variety of positions. He holds a bachelor's degree in finance from Georgia Southern University and a master's degree of public administration for the North Carolina State University. Please, let's give Robert a very warm welcome.
made it, Mary. And it's a joke. We're trying to keep a low profile, as you guys can imagine. So, hold off on the pictures. Mary had seen me give this presentation before, a couple months ago. We're well into transportation performance management. I think a lot of the initiatives that you've heard this morning are generated by this transportation performance management and the federal requirement. We've been on board with this since Jump Street. And I have to tell you, NJTPA has been out in front the entire time. So congratulations to you guys. We've made all of our deadlines. For those of you who don't know what transportation performance management is, that's why I'm here. And hopefully I can explain it to you in a way that you understand it. Took me a little while. So to start off, transportation performance management is a strategic approach that uses system information to make investment policy decisions. If you think about that, it's data-driven. Okay? Everything that the DOT now is doing requires data. They're going to have to get this data from different sources, as Eric and I were discussing earlier. Okay. So there are 7 national goal areas. USDOT defined these measures through rulemaking. What rulemaking is, when the FAST Act, which is what we're operating under right now, was written, we were given direction to figure it out. How is this going to work? It was very broad what was said in law. It took us 3 years, almost, to go through the rulemakings that we're now following. Starts off with national goals. The national goal areas that were given to us, first, safety. Obviously, that was first. And the goal was to achieve a significant reduction in traffic fatalities and serious injuries on public roads. That's not just on the NHS. That's all public roads in the state. Second, infrastructure condition, to maintain the highway infrastructure asset system in a state of good repair. We're in a good position. That's always been, since I've been here, going on 5 years now. It's been the focus of the MPOs. It's been the focus of DOT, which is good. So we're well on our way there. Third is congestion reduction. Simply, we need a significant reduction in congestion on the national highway system. Focus area, and especially up here when you drive here at 8 o'clock in the morning. I got to see your congestion. That's why I don't come to your meetings. Sorry. System reliability is meant to improve the efficiency of the surface transportation system. Talked about freight movement, and economic vitality to improve the national freight network, strengthen the ability of the rural communities to access national and international trade markets and support regional economic development. I was happy to hear your report on freight. I'm glad you guys are focused on it. And you're right, it is booming. Environmental sustainability. It's meant to enhance the performance of the transportation system while protecting and enhancing the natural environment. And then finally, reducing project delays. We work very closely with the NJDOT. My staff and the DOT are like this, trying to develop new processes and reduce project costs, reduce delays. That's our partnership, and we do that on a daily basis. If you guys don't know, we're not just an oversight agency, we're partners with the DOT, and we're partners with the MPOs. We look at your success and your project delivery as ours. So that's a focus area for us. Sorry, guys. Here's where I'm not gonna bore you. I'm not gonna read this slide. But the FAST Act was really significant, federal highway. It actually created an entire new chapter in the Code of Federal Regulation. Within that chapter, it addresses 5 major areas: safety, pavement and bridge condition, system performance, freight movement on the interstate, and congestion mitigation and air quality program, or CMAQ, as most people call it. Now, the reason I'm not going into depth on this is this was history. We've gone through this. The first goal area that we attacked, I say attacked because we worked together closely to develop the goals. But the state DOT establishes targets annually, each performance measure that you see up the 6th. State DOT has to have targets that are identical to the state highway safety office. So there's coordination there that needs to be done, and which has been done. So, like I said, we're still in the past. It also has to align with the state strategic highway safety plan. And I'm not going to hit you with all those acronyms. That's why I said it. And then finally, the state DOT performance targets represent the anticipated performance outcome for all public roadways, as I said, within the state, regardless of the ownership or the functional class. So when we take these measurements, and we're about to report on them, reporting date is soon, it's all the public roads. And I'm happy to hear the safety activities that you guys have going on up here, especially adopting some of the EDC strategies. I think that's going to be very helpful. So, thank you. The next one is pavement and bridge, and PM2. This one took a little while to come out. Finally did. We've got our goals. The MPO adopted the DOT's goals for these. There are 4 pavement condition measures and 2 bridge condition measures. The 4 measures for assessing pavement condition, and try not to bore you, but I want you to understand this, are calculated for the interstate system and for the non-NHS. Pavement condition measures are a percentage of pavement in good condition on both the interstate and non-interstate NHS, and the percentage of pavements in poor condition on the interstate and non-interstate NHS. We have a unique situation in New Jersey. There's local owners of the NHS system. We need that data from those non-DOT owners of the NHS system. And I'm going to be frank, we've struggled to get that data. One of the reasons I'm here. But we do need that data for reporting on our baseline that's coming up. The 2 measures for assessing bridge condition apply to all NHS bridges. This is regardless of ownership. And percentage of those bridges classified in good condition and poor condition. The DOT will collect this roadway data in increments of 0.10 miles, so it's small, following our system HPMS requirements to report on the IRI. And IRI is running for asphalt pavements, joint, concrete pavement, and cracking percentage. Again, this is going to take coordination with those non-DOT municipalities that own these structures and these roadways. So it's important that we work together closely with the DOT and with Federal Highway to assist in making sure we get that data. You toss me my water. System performance and freight. The performance measures are on the NHS and interstate and non-interstate travel time reliability, defined as a percentage of person miles traveled that are reliable on the respective systems. Person miles is a new word. We came to that conclusion during the rulemaking process, because person miles take into account the users of the NHS. Data to reflect the users can include bus, auto, truck occupancy levels. The final rule changes the weighing of the travel time reliability measures from system miles to person miles, and this change provides opportunities to capture overall occupancy factors from national surveys. Federal Highway believes person miles concept is an appropriate way to measure reliability for investment decisions, making it more sensitive to congestion than system miles. We have that data. We use, I don't know, we have that data now, and it is being measured. There's also, the last one is truck time. And the truck time, or the performance measure of freight movement on the interstate, is a freight reliability measure defined as the truck travel time reliability index. I was amazed that Transcom was building a system before these rules came out to measure this. And we're one of the few areas in the country that we have full coverage for this data. So thank you, Transcom, if you're in the house. But we're in good shape, and like I said, I can think of 4 other metropolitan areas that may have the coverage we have. We have the entire state, both New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey, for this information. Finally, and my favorite, as Eric knows, is the CMAQ program. The measures for assessing the CMAQ program traffic congestion are peak hour excessive delay measures, defined as the annual hours of peak hour excess delay per capita, and the non-single occupancy vehicle travel miles, defined as a percentage of non-single occupancy or SOV travel. So, step back and take a look at all we've accomplished over the past 2 years, roughly. These were the required plans. Both the MPO plan, Strategic Highway Safety Plan, the Safety Improvement Program, and the TAMP. TAMP is very important. I want to draw attention to that because we're going to talk about asset management in a second. Our TAMP was completed on time. It was certified. Good, and it was a lot of work. A lot of partnering between Federal Highway, NJDOT, and the MPOs to get this transportation asset management plan. This is a long-range plan looking forward. So we've developed that. CMAQ performance plan, state freight plan was developed, and then for transit, the transit safety plan and the transit asset management plan. I'm not really sure where we are with that. I would have to ask FTA because I don't sign up on that. So, any planners in here? Like everyone? So, here, let me go back. Now, I heard you discuss the updates on your TIP and your STEP. The planning rule gives agencies 2 years before the targets must be incorporated into their planning document. That 2 years is May 20 of this year. So states, when you make a modification to your TIP or your STIP going forward after May 20, it's right around the corner, it has to describe in the STIP how the program of projects contributes to the achievement of the performance targets identified in the long-range plan or other state performance-based plans. All those plans I showed you guys just a little while ago. Linking investment priorities to those targets. And similarly, the MPOs must describe in the TIP how the program of projects contributes to achieving the MPO's performance targets, which are identical to the state DOTs, because NJTPA, along with the other two MPOs adopted, as some of you, I guess all of you know, adopted those same goals. There's going to be, and this assessment should be a written narrative included in that document. We, Federal Highway, will review that. So not quite sure how that's going to work yet. Eric and I were talking about NJDOT on how are we going to show in our STIP and TIP, and maybe hopefully you guys have thought about this, how your investment decisions are going to contribute to the state goals and targets that have been set. I have confidence in you. So, performance-based planning and programming. You guys have been doing this since I got here. I think you've been doing it forever. And what that is, for you guys who don't know, it refers to the application of performance management within the planning and program process of transportation agencies like the MPO to achieve desired performance outcomes for the multimodal transportation system. Now, this includes a range of activities and products undertaken by transportation agencies together with other agencies, stakeholders, and the public, should be part of this performance-based planning. It's really the 3 C's that you focus on. It's cooperative, continuing, and it's comprehensive. The update to the long-range transportation plan has to include these elements, these bullet points. And the planning process will need to include integration into all the other plans, including the state plan, transportation asset management plan. All of that has to be taken into consideration. Real quick on this, because it's already been done. The initial asset management plan was approved in May. Did a very good job on it. Took a lot of work to get that document together. Many man hours. And congratulations to the DOT. Eric, I'll tell it to you. They did a fantastic job, and we were right there beside them. I can't tell you how much work went into that, just because of the data that we had to get, and it was everywhere. And that's why all of us in this room need to think about how we're going to report your NHS assets, roadway and bridge, to the DOT. I'm not going to go on with that. Asset management really is the engine going forward that's going to drive our project selection and how we do business. We are very close to a fully compliant, like this close. We'll make the June date. We'll have the fully compliant plan. I'm hoping in the next couple months. So I just wanted to put this on here to let you know that we are on track. To get this completed. Reporting. You remember that circle? It all comes around. The reporting doesn't really start for a couple of years. The real reporting. Safety is every year. 2021 is going to be the first reporting, and it's going to be the baseline, and there's a mid performance, and there's full performance. The reason I am about to show you this, and we have to review the system data. When you report for the first time in 2022, 2018's done baseline, 2020 mid-year, 2022 is if we haven't met our targets, if we haven't met our goals, we'll either sit back and determine why that didn't happen. There could be some penalties. I don't see that coming, but that is in the law. That when we do that review, federal highway. But I think we're going to be okay. Mary has a copy of this, so everybody, if you want to share it, fine with me. Last thing is the accountability. What is federal highway looking at? Significant progress. You know, I can't define significant for you. It's not defined. But we are going to be looking at it in these three areas. And there are minimum standards for the interstate pavements and the national highway system bridges. That's where we can divert funds to more bridges or more pavements on the interstate. That's our true focus area. So, now I've talked about partnership with the DOT and with the MPOs. I wanted to go over what the roles and responsibilities are and how we've been operating so far. As I said, US DOT, particularly Federal Highway Administration, established the measures, identified data sources, they have to report to Congress, and we still maintain stewardship and oversight over the program. And we're about a $1 billion federal program. State DOTs are expected to establish targets, check, that support the national goals in the planning process, check, and the report to US DOT, which is upcoming. Here we go again with the data. And state DOTs and MPOs are required to identify the available data and what's needed. It takes coordination to do that. And hopefully that will go through the DOT. Targets have been set. Still working on some of the data collection for this report. You shall see. And as I said, we've been partnering with the MPOs and with DOT on a daily basis to make this work. We're ahead of the curve in this region because we have outstanding MPOs that coordinate across state lines. It's something that needs to be done, particularly in this area. So we've worked hard as an agency to help you guys. Resource Center, I know, has come up here to help. But what I wanted to leave you with is we're committed to your success. Your success is our success. So to you all, if you have a question, don't hesitate to call our office. Call me personally. We're here for the MPOs. We're here for the state DOT. That's our job. So I'm not really going to take any questions, if that's okay, Mary. Because I got a camera on me. But thank you guys very much. And if you do have questions, you can call me in my office, and I'd be glad to talk to you. 609 607 7. I never call myself. It's all right. 609 637 4210. There. Sorry.
Not to worry if he doesn't remember. We'll have that number available.
Mary
know the
knows how
number.
to find me. Trust me. But anyway, thank you guys for the opportunity to come up here, and thank you for the invite. And any time or any topic you'd like me to discuss, I'd be more than happy to come here and speak to your group. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much, Robert. Are there any questions from the members of the board and what you have heard today from Robert Clark? Have a quiet group today. Any questions from the public in terms of what was said today? Oh, Robert, we have one question for you.
No question. Yeah, I'm not ready here to answer. This is coming from headquarters.
No, I understand. Oh, they don't want to. You don't want to answer any questions.
No, I had to beg to come here and do that.
Okay,
So I'm sorry.
no problem.
I truly apologize. But
That's fine.
not
I
here.
thought you were only kidding. Peter, we'll put that in the back burner.
If you want to come sit next to me, I'd be more than glad to talk to you, sir. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Okay. We now turn to the public participation of the meeting. And as in the past, we advise members of the public that we have 3 minutes time rule. In comments, the lights and the timers, which I guess by the table, will go from green to yellow, meaning indicating there's only 1 minute remaining. And the red, of course, your 3 minutes are up. But we ask you to keep your comments within the allotted time. So if we have any comments from the public, would you please come up?
Chairman Estrada, Director Amin, trustees, Happy New Year. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Neil Weissman on behalf of Complete George. You have copies of extended remarks. The paradox of climate change is that those who emit greenhouse gases have little incentive to reduce the costs that they impose on future generations. To address this, Mark Carney, President of the Bank of England, proposed a carbon budget that would limit temperature increases to 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Mr. Carney cautioned, however, that organizations adapting to a 2-degree world face 3 channels of risk: physical, liability, and transitional. I believe the Port Authority is starkly vulnerable to all 3 and needs to overhaul itself within the time frame of its current capital plan. Physical risk results from climate and weather events that damage property or disrupt trade. Even if agencies' assets are hardened, access will be threatened as weather events increase in frequency and intensity. Use patterns, growth trends, and consequently revenue streams will all be affected. Liability risk arises from parties who have suffered loss or damage when they seek compensation from those they hold responsible. While the agency may not like the characterization, it is in the fossil fuel business. The case is supported by capital allocation, revenue streams, and historic support for car and air travel. Transition risk occurs when movement towards a low-carbon economy triggers a repricing of assets. Examples include energy producers who write down oil reserves, and car companies ending domestic sedan production. Triggers include lawsuit, legislation, carbon tax, congestion pricing, regulatory guidance, executive order, and cabinet appointment. Energy Secretary Ocasio-Cortez. Mr. Carney further warns that success is failure, meaning that rapid transition to a low-carbon economy could trigger a sudden major collapse of asset values. He advises businesses at risk to disclose exposure, develop a mitigation plan, and set a timetable for implementation. The Port Authority's current capital plan heavily weights aviation and automotive. And although these assets have historically generated the bulk of agency revenues, they are also the ones most at risk. Following Mr. Carney's advice, the PA would be wise to rebalance its portfolio with mass transit and active transportation, assets whose values will only appreciate as the region accelerates towards a low-carbon economy and new channels of funding come online. Thank you all.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the audience who would like to speak? Okay. The young lady there, and Pete, you follow.
Good morning. My name is Roz Moskowitz-Belsky, and I represent the Pleasant Valley Civic Association in West Orange, as well as the West Orange Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board. I want to wish you all a Happy New Year, and thank you very much for the board's participation in many seminars that I've attended on road diets and pedestrian safety. So we always look forward to that. Unfortunately, work gets in the way. Sometimes I can't attend. Rutgers professor Charles Brown always said to us that data is king. And unfortunately, when we look back at the 2018 numbers in Essex County, they're not trending in the right direction. There have been, for the last 5 years, between 40 and 45 pedestrians killed in Essex County. So we need to do more, and we need to do better in terms of pedestrian safety. In West Orange, there's also been an increase in pedestrian fatalities. And not so much fatalities, they're consistent. There's been one in 2018, but the pedestrian auto crashes have risen in 2018, which is very troublesome. I'm here specifically to talk about Pleasant Valley Way and Route 280. West Orange is unique in that we probably have 4 exits, I believe it's 8 ramps that come onto residential areas. And in over 45 years, these intersections haven't been evaluated for safety upgrades. We have 2,000 school children, many of whom, and we have 5 synagogues and houses of worship. Many people cross these 280 Pleasant Valley Way intersections, and they're treacherous. You can't even see the cars coming on these off-ramps. So I would reach out to the DOT. Maybe we can have a conversation about how this can be evaluated so that these pedestrian crashes are non-existent. Basically, we also have a pedestrian incident, many incidences in Pleasant Valley Way and Eagle Rock Avenue. It's our business district in Pleasantdale. I don't understand why it's taken so long for us to get a 25-mile-an-hour speed zone there. It's kind of unconscionable that it's taken this long. Every other city, municipality in Essex County is roughly 25 miles an hour, consistent through their business district. So I'm here to advocate for that as well. The really big picture, the really big vision that I would like to advocate for is Vision Zero for Essex County. I think it's time, and I don't know what you want to call it, Road to Zero, Vision Zero, whatever it is, we need to sit down at the same table. We need DPW, we need police, we need fire, we need engineers, we need planners, and we need people that are going to make the hospitals that have the crash data available because of the ER. We need to sit down and we need to say, okay, what are we going to do to make these fatalities non-existent and these crashes reduced? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Peter, you're on.
Just real quick, in the earlier presentation, I thought one thing that was missing was something that's really very serious in North Jersey, and that's truck parking.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to pass the mic on to our Executive Director, Mary Amin, who has some comments, and after that, I have someone else who wants to speak as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. I just want to take a moment to personally thank Lou Venich from Port Authority for his many years of service at the NJTPA. And I say this from the standpoint of Lou being not just the epitome of a dedicated public service, but also that he's a friend, a deep, good friend to me and to many of my colleagues at NJTPA and in this room. Lou's been on the Port Authority. Lou has been the Port Authority's alternate on the board since 2015, but he's been part of the NJTPA for many years before that. Participated very fully in many planning activities here for at least the past decade. I start to lose track after the first 10 years.
Me too.
Or the most recent 10 years. Yeah, right, that happens. But Lou's been an absolute pleasure to work with. He's worked with us on analyzing major Trans-Hudson planning issues, ensuring that amendments were ready for the TIP, and he's been thoughtful, diligent, and a consummate professional in the sense that he understands that, you know, we're here to serve and we help each other out, and that's how we really achieve the successes that we've been talking about today and in the past. Lou's also been the staff liaison with our partner or sister MPO across the pond there, across the river, NMTIC, and he's done so much to help coordinate the discussion between two of the biggest and most complex MPOs in the country, but also on each side of the Hudson River. And we will miss him sorely, but we know that the groundwork that he's laid and the relationships that he's helped to build will make the Trans-Hudson work that's coming up happen that much more quickly and that much more efficiently for the work and the efforts that he's put into it for much, if not most, of his career. And Lou, on behalf of the entire NJTPA staff, we thank you so much for all your hard work. We wish you the best in your retirement, and we wish you weren't going, but we certainly understand and want you to have the best in the future. So don't be a stranger, and thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'm glad I asked for equal time.
I'm going to say you have equal time, sir.
Thanks so much for the kind words, and you too, Jeremy. I think everyone in this room understands that there's a shared public interest in good transportation. Urban, suburban, rural, Democrat, Republican, New York and New Jersey. And I will say that I think that interest is better expressed and more consistently expressed here than any place else I know. And when you work for the Port Authority, you see the region, so I get around some. And I think that's a great abiding credit to this board. I'm very grateful to the Port Authority and NJTPA for the opportunity to have played a small part in that dialogue for a number of years. I very much appreciate the help and patience of NJTPA's professional staff on so many issues, especially advancing priorities like the Path Sandy program. I almost understand how to do east of entries now. We have a training coming up for other staff next week. Steve Brown will be succeeding me as our voting alternate. He's well known to you from also many years of work with NJTPA. And with Steve here and Mary Kay Murphy as the Port Authority's planning director, I know this relationship will be in very good hands in the future. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Lou. I am sure, I can more or less guarantee you we miss very much. And we could only wish you for the best, always. And we know Steve for many years as well, but also you've played a very critical role in your input here. And a gentleman who is what I consider extremely well trained and mannered, which is, it's an art. You don't find that too often. No, I wasn't about you, Lou. Don't look. Steve, now we have to train to that, the same mode.
He has a better sense of humor, so.
Well, that's true, but,
He's been great.
but we're definitely going to miss you, and we wish you and your family the best. Thank you. Now, the next meeting of the NJTPA will be held on March the 11th at 10 o'clock in the morning at the NJTPA 1 Newark Center. That's 1085 Raymond Boulevard, 17th floor in Newark, New Jersey. And if there's no other comments or anything else, any other items in our agenda, we'll call for adjournment.
Motion adjourned. Warren?
Second.
Morris will second it.
We have one. Anybody in favor? Just indicate by saying aye or nay. Aye.
Aye.
I guess the ayes have it. The nays may stay.
What a lucky seat I had. Glad I got to meet you before you escaped.
Yeah, well, I have to get, well, as long as I